we bring you good vibe, we shine on the light. We all over the world, chat night Africa. We all over the world, chat night Africa. Welcome to chat night, we bring you good vibe, we shine on the light. Welcome to chat night, we bring you good vibe, we shine on the light. We all over the world, chat night Africa. We all over the world, chat night Africa. Welcome to chat night, the only place that we give you good vibes. Chat night Africa. Welcome to chat night, all over the world we are shining the light. Chat night Africa. Welcome to chat night.
Thank you for tuning into this broadcast. Please keep a glass of cold water nearby. That's because you're about to watch what may produce scorching heat. Dr. Ayaba Cho, my guest today, is described by his followers as the leader of the armed opposition to Cameroon's President Paul Biya. The armed conflict, now in its 8th year, shows no signs of abating. So, if no one is going to win on the battlefield outright, what's plan B for Dr. Ayaba Cho? Now, that's the same question I would ask if I had the opportunity to question President Biya on this platform. Get this clear. A lot of people have asked me why I should be interviewing somebody in their words so vicious as Ayaba Cho. Here is my answer. Why not? We do not invite guests to this program on account of how we like or dislike anybody. That's why I say if I had my way, I would interview President Biya, not because we had or we share much in common. We invite people to this platform considering the impact their actions or inaction have on ground zero, the impact their actions or inaction have on real people. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope I make my point once and for all clear. My name is Divine Chamukong. I'm anchoring this broadcast from Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, fondly described as Washington District of Cameroon. Ladies and gentlemen, join me now in welcoming Dr. Ayaba Cho on this platform. Dr. Cho, thank you for accepting graciously my invitation to Chat Night Africa's Voices of Africa.
Thanks for inviting me.
Recently, the fun of Mankan von Angwa for the Fourth was in the United States. He actually came to Maryland, and watching the cultural exuberance here in Maryland, I had goosebumps, even though I don't come from Mankan, Northwest region. Dr. Cho, do you miss occasions like that to commune with your kith and kind of the Mankan kingdom?
That's the very reason why we fight. That's the very reason why we fight. To protect that culture, to protect its originality and its sanctity from abuse and usurpation.
That's an interesting question. Now, but if you were to show up unexpectedly at that occasion, how do you think the men and women of Mankan would receive you?
I can't speak for anyone. We come from a colonized background, and many people want to survive. And the prisoner always sees those who fight to break the prison as endangering their lives. And so you can never really measure the true sentiment of an oppressed people until freedom comes. And so our job is to liberate our people from tyranny and from their own self-destruction. It is only after they are free that you can really capture their humanity.
There is a strong possibility that if Ambazonia, within the east of the Mongo, and some people west of the Mongo call the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon, it's a strong possibility if it became independent, you would be the president. So for that reason, I went to the people. I talked to a lot of people, different shades of opinions on the war to see how they feel about you. Dr. Cho, you come across as you exude very warm persona. Your smile's just charming. I don't know which lady will stand in front of you and say no to you if you ask for her love. But the people I spoke to, some describe you as a terrorist, some call you a monster, some call you a chief kidnapper. What is it? It has to be two things. Either they misunderstand you or your actions leave them with that impression, sir.
Jesus was called all names. Mandela was called all names. All freedom fighters have been called all sort of names. And now, let us differentiate who we are. You're talking about a guy who's been in power for more than 43 years, has burned down thousands of villages, killed more than 30,000 of our people. Mr. Bia and his Ajo regime murdered over 400,000 back in the case. They have looted treasuries. And you want to compare such a devil with a generation of individuals who have risen up for the first time to take a stand against such tyranny. You see, I think we have an obligation to end the tyranny in Ambazonia. In the course of this process, there will be more pain. And I have always asked our people to accept this pain as a temporal measure in ensuring permanent peace and justice that will give them hope in the country in which they have known nothing else but misery.
Nice to hear that you would like that the pain hopefully is temporary, but we are 8 years into the war and counting. Would you say you are losing or you are winning, sir?
We are not 8 years into the war. We are 63 years into this war. This is just another phase of it. We have defeated Cameroon. Every state power has the monopoly in the use of violence or deployment of armed forces. We have undermined that monopoly in Ambazonia. Every state conducts international relations, has supreme authority in doing that. We have shattered Cameroon's ability to be the sole arbiter in the international relations sphere. We have crumbled its economy. Its GDP to debt ratio is 45%. There is a fractured regime in Yaoundé. We don't know who is in charge. And we are building capacity to make sure that once, through our effort, it collapses, we can take over our land and begin the strenuous process of reconstruction. There is no way on earth, under my leadership, that Ambazonia will ever, even if you combine Cameroon, Chad, and all Francophone countries, be defeated by these pariah cartel bosses who've looted and institutionalized impunity
You say that you are winning, if I get you right. How can you, Dr. Cho, with a straight face, you are winning? Your flag is not in Boya. At least that would be a definition of a win, because if you're fighting for independence and the capital is going to be Boya, one would imagine that if you are winning, then your flag would be hoisted on the Prime Minister's lodge in Boya. It isn't. Again, what's your definition of a win, sir? Victory?
Well, I'll accept that definition from someone who, hasn't done any bit of studies about liberation struggles. Occupation is predicated on occupation and control, legitimacy through different processes. What we have successfully done, and now we have 3,500 well-armed men in Ambazonia. We control over 60% of the suburbs. We have created a permanent sense of ungovernability. We determine also issues of taxation. We determine also issues of residence obligation. It is our land. We have defeated the enemy because we have eliminated a sense of normalcy in occupation that could loot, could kill without any response from the Ambazonian people.
When I ask you the question, when I said we've been 8 years into the war, that's because, I worked in no problem. Nobody was exposed to any sort of killing, kidnapping, or anything like that. But since 2016/17, it's been a nightmare living in Bamenda and other cities in the Northwest region and some cities in the Southwest region. So, question, Dr. Cho, would you say people in Ground Zero are worse off or better off today?
First, when you said you walked in Bamenda and there was no kidnapping, what do you characterize Kale Kale? What do you characterize checkpoints every 10 meters, extortion? What do you characterize fomented civil wars between villages? The only reason why you are seeing a difference is because we are now armed. When you walk there, possibly Cameroon was the only side that was armed. We are now armed, and its level of impunity has increased. And if you make the difference between totalitarian regimes and autocratic regimes, you will understand why in autocratic regimes there is a higher level of impunity than in totalitarian state. And so I can tell you with certainty that Ambazonia has prevailed, because for 8 years, if you have a match between Top Tazan Mutengene and FC Barcelona, and after 90 minutes, Barcelona is still thinking that, this match is a draw, then give victory to Top Tazan Mutengene. The level of impunity has increased because Cameroon believes Ambazonians are slaves. They never believe for once that their slaves will rise up to challenge their authority. They are so angry that they will burn villages, burn old women in homes, murder children in Gabo. It's the arrogance of an occupier that never for once ever thought these slaves will rise up to challenge his authority.
You used a key word, ungovernability, and I think everybody agrees on that. I think even the governor in Bamenda would agree, even if he says the contrary. People overseas would agree, even if some say the contrary. Let's talk about the atmosphere of ungovernability, because I got a lot of questions from Ground Zero on that. When you render a society or a city or a region ungovernable, who takes the brunt? The citizens, definitely.
That's the nature of liberation wars. You see, we are acting as though we are in a situation of normalcy. This is a liberation war. It's not a kind of a political struggle where you want to overthrow an existing government, where you have the capital city taking the brunt. During the period of normal occupation without response, the occupied people have taken the brunt. During processes of environmental destruction because of massive exploitation of resources, the occupied people have taken the brunt. During using our resources as collateral and then indebting our country, creating insecurity, lack of proper sanitary situations, the occupied people have taken the brunt.
Yeah, but the question is, and I do understand that's war.
Let me conclude.
Okay.
It is not because of the resistance that the people are taking the brunt. It is because of the occupation. We should not misconstrue the 7 years period of armed resistance as the foundation of the decadence of our society. Before we rose up with arms, you had situation of roads unpassable. You had people having accidents because of these pot roads. You had hospitals being places where rather than get treatment, people go to die.
Are you in control of the fighters on the ground, your fighters?
I am the commander-in-chief. I'm in charge.
Okay, if you're in charge, I will expect that you take responsibility for all the things they do. Do you?
I do.
Okay, some of the things that, according to, as you see, I have a lot of papers in front of me, a lot of questions came from home. Some of the things they do, I've been told, include kidnapping, torture at Alabukam camp, summary killings, all kinds of things going on. It suffices that you own a business and they just come and pull you off and execute you. Do you endorse things like this?
No, because the code of conduct of the Ambazonian Defense Forces, which is shared with other forces, does not tolerate acts of kidnapping or torture. The massive acts of kidnapping in our countries is conducted by by Cameroon. We must differentiate propaganda with reality. You have cited situations without providing your sources. It's subjective rather than being objective.
But you know that's a journalist. I'm not
Yeah. I need a source. I need your source. I need names. I need evidence.
Now,
So
since you need names, examples, I had one of the questions that came to me had to do with the I think it's the branch manager of Orange. The letter that came to me said he was kidnapped by your men and they tortured him, called his family, and he was screaming on the phone as they were torturing, and they had to take 10 million francs from him. Are you aware of that, sir?
Yes, I'm aware.
What did you do?
Orange had been charged to pay its liberation tax, and I was made aware that one of the branch managers was taken into custody because of failure of payment of liberation tax. And I gave instructions consistent with the code of conduct. No one in our custody should be subjected to torture. I realized he had a head butt, and I asked how he sustained that. It was during the process of arrest. Each time something happens, there is always the propaganda that is being propagated out there by those who think this is a kind of a peace walk. This is war. And we do everything under difficult circumstances to make sure that we protect the lives of our civilian population, we protect the lives of anyone, even those who have committed crimes by spying against Ambazonia. Of course, there are certain things that happen which are intolerable. And we make sure we institute remedial measures to make sure it doesn't happen again. But none of those things happen as a matter of policy in comparison with the systematic policy of kidnapping, extortion, and brutality by Cameroon. Anyone who has been subjected to any form of abuse, we have done some level of investigations and taken remedial measures within the context of our powers at this particular moment.
The code of conduct that you've drawn up for your fighters, does it take into consideration war crimes as defined by the International Criminal Court? Does it take into consideration that?
Our code was drawn by studying the 4 Geneva Conventions. It was drawn also by studying 1918 protocols, all customary practices in terms of war. And even we factored in situations of human rights which occur in times of peace. So it is a reflection of the 4 Geneva Conventions. So it takes into consideration war crimes, it takes into consideration crimes against humanity, which are systematic torture in nature, which are acts of systematic rape, and it takes into consideration genocide, which is deliberate act to eliminate a people fully or partially.
I'm happy to hear that, sir. But if this guy was tortured, he was screaming on the phone, it means either that, I don't assume that you tolerated it, as you say, but it would also mean that they don't take instructions from you. In that case, what did you do?
First, you cannot compare an act like that as falling within the realm of crimes against humanity. It may be arbitrary, but he was not subjected to torture. That's the first thing. He was not subjected to torture.
10 million francs he paid, is that true? If he did, where did the money go to?
Every liberation tax that is collected by our forces is used for the purpose for which it was defined. That is used to make sure that we can support our forces, to make sure that we can support education, we can support health, we can support every other action that can salvage our people, can protect our people, and can continue to project civil society.
But if your soldiers seize somebody in front of his home, maybe coming out of church or from work, and take into the bush and then beat him up, kick him, and he has to pay 10 million before leaving, it sounds like kidnapping, doesn't it?
No.
Kidnapping for ransom, so to speak.
No. At the introduction, you talked about Orange. These are companies. You are looking at Orange is a legal personality. You are looking at institutions operating businesses within Ambazonia. They have all been asked to pay their liberation tax within a particular period of time. And if you do not pay your tax, we are either going to shut the business, take people into custody to make sure that the company pays its tax. And that is the routine that we follow. For individual Ambazonians, you pay your 10,000, you pay your 5,000, and that's okay. If you do not pay, the law is very clear that penalties will be accrued for 30% after a certain period of non-payment. This is war. La République does increase in taxation in different forms. It shuts down businesses, burns businesses, arrests people for non-payment of taxes. That's a routine.
What would you say if some quarterhead in Mancun decided to just tax people, regardless of what they think? What would you call that?
You've said quarterhead as an authority figure. As long as there is due process in the institution of taxation, that's okay. What do you think if Angwafo came over to the United States in all his cultural jamboree? How much do you think he collected from the United States? And
you understand, Dr. Cho, you read a lot, and I admire you for that. You have you read a lot. And you must have read about what touched off the American War of Independence. And you know the famous phrase, no taxation without representation. The people you tax, how were they part of that decision? Be part of my question. They are not represented. They are not. So how can you appropriately call it a legitimate taxer?
because we are a narrow definition of representation. First, the concept of legitimacy, especially in times of conflict, rests in the hands of the movements that represent the people in times of crisis. We are legitimate representatives of the Ambazonian people at this particular moment.
Do you listen to the people of the region, the English parts of Cameroon, southwest and northwest? Do you listen to them?
Why are you even sitting in America afraid to embrace your own identity?
I'm not afraid.
I see you twisting your tongue, trying to satisfy both audiences. Why are you shying away from embracing an identity? It's not even about recognizing Ambazonia.
Here's the thing. Since you asked me the question, if you go to the halls of Congress in Washington, D.C., and ask them, where is Ambazonia, they will not know. If you ask them, where is the southwest and northwest, they will know.
Excuse me, do you think an American, you can do the math. A very few percentage of Americans even know where Norway is.
Let's move on.
If you do not introduce yourself, if you are afraid to uphold your own identity, if you are afraid to uphold your flag, nobody's ever going to know about it. And so we must not be known. As long as Ambazonians have embraced their own identity and accepted that this is our identity, and then you should not shy away from it, because...
Here is why I ask you the question, Dr. Cho. Let me put it this way. Do you believe that the international community has a role in handling this conflict between you and the Biya government?
The international community has played some roles, but I know they have been bullied, and I don't want to get too much into that, but I'm very confident about where we are, and that we are successfully using acts of targeted diplomacy and internationalization to bring our case to the halls of powers in London, in Washington, in Berlin, in France. You are aware of different Senate resolutions. You are aware of the debate in the House of Lords. And so the international community has been involved. They will continuously be involved in the struggle until...
The reason I ask you this question, sir, the reason I ask you this question, sir, is because some people lose cases in court, not because the facts are not on their side, but if you premise the case wrongly, it might be a problem. Here is a concrete example. Let's assume a scenario that you fight with your wife. I'm not saying you did, it's hypothetical. And you launched a blow, it hit the head of your wife, and she died. If your in-law files a case and call it murder, first or second degree murder, they lose the case, not because their daughter did not die in a fight. That's manslaughter. So therefore, that's why I ask you the question. If you went to New York and said Ambazonia, they're picking the map and they're looking at it, they don't find Ambazonia. It seems to me you would have premised your case wrongly, sir. I'd like you to prove me wrong there.
So international relations doesn't work that way. It's not.
How does it work?
International relations is not premised on looking at the map where you are. International relations is, as you described at the beginning of this interview, you don't simply interview people because you like them or you don't like them.
Absolutely.
Because of the impact. So international relations is premised on different variables. You know, actors who have impact on international security, actors who have impact on issues of the movement of human beings across borders, actors or individuals who have impact in destabilizing nation states, which are whose stability is important for international transactions, whether financial and commerce and otherwise. And so that's how international relations is premised. If it was premised on a hypothetical, so many things would have gone wrong.
You are watching Voices of Africa on Chat Night Africa. My guest on the platform needs no introduction, Dr. Ayaba Cho.
We love Chat Night Africa.
Dr. Cho, I had a ton of questions on the lockdown. Let me begin this way. Do you oppose schools operating in the English parts of Cameroon?
There is no English part of Cameroon. That's the first.
I know you call it Ambazonia for the purpose of, okay.
Yes, for the purpose of this interview,
do you oppose schools?
Who I am, you have to refer to my country, Ambazonia.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Do you oppose schools operating in Ambazonia?
No. We have announced schools will commence on the 2nd of October. So any assumption that we oppose schools is a propaganda of the defeated enemy.
You don't oppose schools reopening. That's a good thing. But the schools are reopening. You want schools to open in Ambazonia when other schools would have been going on in the other side of the country, east of the Mongo. Anglophone children are there. I know you don't agree with the terminology Anglophone, but they're going to be writing exams not set by you, set by the government of Cameroon. So people are wondering, scratching their heads, what is this lockdown intended to accomplish?
You've mixed up so many things. So let me break them down.
Okay, sir.
First, what will lockdown accomplish? It's a civil disobedience a tool to challenge the authority of the occupying power in Ambazonia and to make a clear demarcation between our system of education and theirs. That's number one. Number two, we are very much aware, and I put out a press release the other day that Cameroon has used these our strategy of ensuring an independent educational system to create a situation of insecurity, and that has led to the death to the loss of life, which has been blamed on Ambazonians. I cite the case of Aziri New Church, where they invaded it last week, occupied it, and used it as a military base. We have situations across the territory where Cameroon has used these struggle on when schools should resume as an excuse to attack schools, burn some, and kill children. So lockdown is also a measure to ensure that we protect the lives of our people and that they can safely and securely begin schools in their country on the date set by the authorities of Ambazonia.
And even if that's done, they're still going to be taking curriculum that's set by the government of Cameroon, sir.
Well, we have a curriculum. This is let me be very clear about this. We have a situation where Ambazonians and our detractors believe that there will be a clear demarcation on every aspect of our lives between Ambazonia and Cameroon. We have, in 1994, come to the conclusion that even at independence, there is a possibility that Cameroon still hangs on to certain assets within Ambazonia. That even at independence, during the transitional phase, that Ambazonia still hangs on to certain issues related to Cameroon. That's why we produced the Boya Peace Initiative that factor these transitional measures to full independence so that Ambazonians don't get confused. Yes, we have established a curriculum of education in certain areas, it goes hand in hand with the curriculum of education, of intoxication that has been put by Cameroon. Certain Ambazonians are still going to write the GCEs. We have put in an alternative system through which they can get certification for their education. And I know you are aware that we are living in a period where the old system of certification by states is being undermined by skilled, quick method of learning that provides certification that represent the true skills that have been acquired. So I'm not saying here that our system as established is totally perfect, but we simply cannot deny ourselves the opportunity of establishing a system that provides proper education to our people, simply because we must simply be existing under the tyranny, because that is what exists.
This is the question, sir. You want schools to reopen in October.
Yes.
The government of Cameroon wants it reopened on the 9th of September, if my information is correct. What's the difference between when they open on the 9th and when you want schools to open in October?
When does school open in the United States?
I mean all schools?
No, not all schools. They open in different periods in different states.
Okay. For example, in Maryland school systems can set, and they can set their timetable whenever they want. But the point I'm making is, aren't you giving carte blanche for your fighters to go attack teachers? Because we're having already reports that they're attacking teachers.
What is the correlation?
You haven't heard people were shot, and people are being shot and killed?
What
teachers
is the
kidnapped.
Correlation? You are making an argument, you're making an assumption as though Cameroon is the authoritative power to set standards in terms of education. That assumption is flawed, totally flawed. Every country has a right to set its own system of education consistent with its values and its own vision. That's exactly what we have done.
Why you are right, but you don't have physical control of the territories, do you?
You don't need physical control. There is no state, not even in the United States. We just got four children killed in school. What about physical control in the United States? We just got 2 teachers shot in a school, 2 students shot in a school by a 14-year-old. So what is the correlation between physical control and security?
You are watching Voices of Africa. Some sources said you wanted the lockdown to coincide with the opening of the UN General Assembly. True or false?
Some sources. See, don't rely on.
I'm asking you to deny.
I have stated, if I want something to do with the United Nations General Assembly, I will be in New York. I'll call for a lockdown in New York. So I have no reason to call for a lockdown in Ambazonia or against an event that is taking place 10,000 miles away. That's a fantasy.
A lot of questions came in, and having to do with the change of the taxi colors. We will be right back. You are watching Dr. Ayaba Cho on Voices of Africa's Voice of Africa Chat Night Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a little break. I told you this will be really, really hot.
October 19 bolle. Mon bamba be tu ti mi ko do ki bondo mi. Ha ti wo le mon. Sabachumundi onilung makali. Sambaloka mbo mandama monguo. Sambaloka tuta mandama monguo. Sabachumu mbandi kamba pamu oji katutani kamba binyendo 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 ya ua. Oh ya. Oh ya ua. Oh ya. Oh ya ua. Oh ya ua. Oh ya ua. This is Samba Baminda. October 19, 2024, Buena Vista. All road leads to Buena Vista. Una never seen nothing.
All right. That's Pabali. Pabali is resident here in Maryland. You simply can go on the internet or on YouTube and search Pabali. He has great songs. Please subscribe and share and comment. You're watching Voices of Africa on Chat Night Africa. My name is Divine Nchamukong. On this platform, we do not pay allegiance to any government, any pressure group, any political party, and we are very independent on our platform. We thank leader Ayaba Cho for accepting our invitation to appear on this platform and take some questions. On this platform, there are three programs. You have Healthline, you have Voices of Africa that you're watching now, you have Family Matters, and then, of course, you have the newly created program, Next Generation Today. We are on two places on Facebook with this running live, this broadcast. We're on YouTube in high definition. If you want to watch on YouTube high definition, you simply can go to YouTube and search Chat Night Africa. We are also on the internet broadcasting to the world, www.chatnightafrica.net. You will also be watching it on that. Please, if you're on YouTube, kindly hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. We have lined up powerful contents continuing next week. Ladies and gentlemen, once more, help me welcome Dr. Ayaba Cho. Dr. Cho, listen, I'm going to give you this. You come across as very warm, very friendly, and I think you are. I have to be honest with you. Very warm, very friendly. But when you initiate an action, even with good intent, and find out that it's hurting people, it looks like you are reluctant to revoke that action. Let me take a concrete example. The taxi color. You asked that taxis must, and you gave a deadline, that taxis must be changed from yellow that we've known since we grew up, it's yellow in other countries around the world, to blue, which is the amber flag, blue or blue/white. And people wrote to me asking me, Divine, can you please ask Dr. Ayaba Cho how a color of a taxi leads anyone to Buea, the capital of former West Cameroon? What's your answer?
Oh, it does. Occupation is about the exercise of authority. Occupation is about the exercise of authority. So while you people are focused on the armed struggle, we see the armed struggle as one of the methods we employ to challenge the authority of the occupier. Every action, including imposing taxes on our people, which we respond to with civil disobedience, every action that they do that we can undermine their authority, we challenge their presence and speed up the day that we assume control of our territory. I know it's more complex than people see. So you are seeing taxi color. That's what you're seeing. And I'm seeing authority. That's why you see the regime reacted. If a taxi color was useless, why did the regime not simply say, "Oh no, let us allow these taxi colors, to be changed"? It's an issue about who is in charge, who exercises legitimate authority within the territorial space of Ambazonia. Is it the colonial authorities of La République du Cameroon or the Ambazonian people?
I get the raison d'etre for it. This is a call that I have just received from ground zero. Listen to it.
Yes, Mr. Cho Ayaba, you've asked people to pay liberation taxes, and now your boys are on the ground to check the liberation tax ticket. If you are not in possession of one, they harass you. For those who have paid, if you are discovered with one by the military, they harass you and take you to military courts. Where is our backing? Where can we back up those who have paid? How can we get out of trouble here? When you pay, you are harassed by the military. You don't pay, you are harassed by the boys on the ground. Mr. Chuayava, can you say something about this?
All right. What's your response, sir?
Thanks a lot, comrade. When we instituted, there are three things. When we instituted the tax, we provided receipts with serial numbers. And we took 2 months to explain to our people that we are aware of the barbarism of this system and that people should make sure once they get their receipts, they preserve their serial numbers. That's number one. We give firm instructions to our forces. In case you do control and you are asking for a receipt and somebody does not have it, make sure you leave that person alone. If the person has not paid, then the person should be able to pay. People should not keep receipts. They should keep their serial number. That's the second point. The third point, which I want to bring to your attention, my comrade, is that the very notion of our resistance is a risk. The very idea of being an Ambazonian is a risk. Nothing we do matters. The students in the University of Boya murdered was not because of liberation tax. Tassang is not in jail because he paid any liberation tax. Siseko Ayuk Tabe is not in jail because he paid any liberation tax. Being an Ambazonian is a risk. There are millions of our people who shut their shops every Monday. They embrace that risk as their own contribution to the struggle for our freedom. And I ask each and every one of you to know, it is not because you pay liberation tax. It is not because you respect lockdowns or stuff. You are hurt because you are an Ambazonian.
Well, but the complaint that I get from many people is that your actions are hurting them. So, question: if you, as a leader, if you undertake a decision or an action and realize that people are complaining it's hurting them, are you going to revoke that decision?
The first thing you have to know before we take decisions, we make it as open as possible. We have debates. There are certain decisions that are taken by our forces. Take, for example, the taxi color. It was announced by our forces. It was already public. And I went behind to make sure that I said, no, don't allow blue and white. Let every taxi be painted any other color, number one. Number two, I said, don't burn taxis. You can use other measures. For example, you can take away the categories and make sure that they pay a fine if they have not changed their colors. Of course, we saw certain acts of taxis being burnt, which I was absolute with our forces that these acts are inconsistent with what we are supposed to do. There are actions that when we take and we measure the impact, the negative impact on our population is far higher than the political gains that we will make. We will bring down those kind of measures. We might even completely eliminate them. Let me give you an example. School lockdowns or closure of schools was not the idea of the Amazonian Governing Council. From the very beginning, we set up the Department of Education. We asked ourselves, for how long can you close schools? How long can you keep, especially children at their formative ages, from going to school? We immediately began to work on an alternative curriculum. We immediately began to institute community educations. So what I want to say is this: the hurt we face is as a result of the occupation. You can spend the next 100 years blaming Amazonia. No country, not the United States, that fought, bled, people died. Here in Norway, 1940, when Hitler invaded, within the next 5 years, 10,000 people were killed. Nobody raised the white flag. Poland was bombed down. People fought in the trenches. Nobody raised the white flag. No people have raised the white flag against an illegal occupier because during the period of resistance, there is some pain that they have to incur.
Please just hold your thought. It seems there's somebody on the line. Hello, good afternoon. This is Voices of Africa on Chat Night. Be brief, sir.
For allowing me to ask my question. By the way, I am MKPD, my country people them. I just want to inform Ayaba Cho that, as he has rightly said, he did not come up with the idea of taxi colors. I did. And because he has no control of the armed terrorists on the ground, I injected the idea into their heads and they went out and announced it. And this is the issue we have when you give guns to people who are poorly educated. They can get influenced by anyone to just go out there and do anything.
Let me make sure that I understand you.
Allow him speak. Just allow him speak.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, I have communication with these terrorists who carry guns on the ground in the Anglophone zone in Cameroon. I do. And I have influence over them, just like Ayaba Cho does. And the influence I have over them may not be that I am not their so-called commander-in-chief or whatever, but you can influence them with money. You can influence them by injecting ideas into their heads. And that is exactly an example of what happened. He has confessed himself that he did not come up with that idea of taxi colors. He just backed it because all he cares about is to have to be relevant and to have the boys on the ground to endorse him. So he doesn't have full control of the boys. Gone are those days when they used to control those boys. Now they are armed bandits and criminals who go around harassing people for money.
Let me ask you a question. Yeah, let me ask you. Don't go away yet. So let me ask you a question. Yeah. I'm getting confused here. I thought that the taxi color was something initiated by Ayaba Cho. You're saying that you brought up the idea.
Ask him. He is there. So, ask him whether he was the one who came up with the idea. Ask him, he will tell you.
So what idea? Let me ask you again, sir. What idea was your idea about the idea of the taxi color? What did you want the fighters to do?
I want them to be all killed. And this is a brilliant way to achieve that. Since they announced the idea of the taxi colors, they went ahead implementing it the way they wanted to implement it. That is their business. I am not part of their mafia. Okay. As a result of that, since then, 22 of them have been killed. And Ayaba Cho can testify. I can name some of them for you. So-called Commander Stone, so-called Commander Iron, and we came very close to killing JC as well because of this taxi color change. And that is my mission, and I almost achieved it. But I am not going to sleep. We will continue, and we will kill them all.
Thank you, sir. No, but don't go yet. I have one quick question for you. If you initiated this idea of taxi color, because you seem to be exonerating the person being blamed by everybody, Ayaba Cho. So if you initiated the issue of taxi color, you're virtually saying that you asked that everybody must change their taxi color from yellow to blue. If that's what you mean, then do you take responsibility for the taxis that were burnt? Because it was your idea.
Listen, my idea was I injected the idea subliminally to the armed terrorists that the color yellow is in the Cameroon flag and it appears in the Cameroon flag twice.
Okay.
Knowing fully well that as illiterates as they are, they will go out there and say, just like how Ayaba Cho came up with the idea of checking people's ID cards because it had the Cameroon flag in it. So it is exactly along those lines. Okay. So I do not ask them to implement anything, nor do I control how they implement anything. Ayaba Cho was just talking about the so-called liberation tax. Okay, they come up with these stupid, ridiculous ways of punishing the Anglophone population, and they go about implementing it. I don't implement it, nor do I control any armed terrorists on the ground. I just injected the idea into their head, just like many other ideas. I am fully responsible for killing Oliver Lekiaka, by the way, in Libya, and a lot of other things that I have done to destroy Ambazona terrorism. And I would sell my soul to the devil if that's what needs to be done. Ambazona must be destroyed by every means necessary because they are a cancer that destroys the Anglophone population.
Okay, your point taken. So thank you so much, sir. Mike, the people, them seems to be giving you a bottle of champagne here.
You now understand why we fight, right?
Because if he's saying that he initiated it,
when you listen to that language of hate, when you listen to his tone of anger, when you listen to his tone of acrimony, you now understand why we fight. If I was as wicked as him, I would have taken out his mother. His dad is dead. I would have taken one of their houses is being used as a military base. We know it. His in-laws, we know all of them. I can just say this. When people becomes this desperate that during an interview, they are part of a state machinery. During an interview with what you would determine as a channel that is not really well known, they could take the time to come in there and speak the way he has spoken. You can measure the level of desperation.
And I'd like to say that my phone line is open. The only thing that I will not, and I have the capability to beep out anybody, my guests must be respected. You can call and ask Dr. Ayaba Cho any question you want, challenge his points of view. But what we do not take on Chat Night Africa or do here is make Chat Night Africa become a corridor of invectives. We don't do that. You can challenge Dr. Ayaba Cho any way you want, but no insults, please. I have the capability to just beep out whatever you want to say. Dr. Ayaba Cho, I had a lot of questions about this taxis color, but he seems to be giving me a bouquet of flowers here today. So let me go to the CEMAC number plates. Essentially, that caller from Ground Zero was saying, if you say they must do this, and the Cameroonian government saying the contrary, then you inadvertently place the population into or in a situation of the proverbial devil and the deep blue sea. Why don't you just hold off on things like that? Knowing that if they put on a different plate, taxi or tag or license number, they will be attacked by the soldiers, by the forces of government. And if they put on yours, they be attacked. If they put on, so it's a convoluted situation. You go one way, you get attacked.
It's not.
How is it not?
It's because your questions is based on the assumption that Cameroon has legitimate authority over our land, and that people are obliged to respect Cameroon as the instituted authority. The moment you clear that assumption, you will come to the conclusion that in all aspects of a liberation war, every strategy carries with it a risk. Don't you think people believe that if we drop our arms today, there will be peace? Do you think if we drop our arms today, Cameroon will not continue to kill Ambazonians? It will not continue to kidnap teachers and lock them up? It will not brutalize lawyers? I have said the actions of Cameroon is not because of the policies we institute. It is because they first and foremost not accepted our humanity. Second, they think we are dispensable. And third, they think they can go without being held accountable.
I'm talking about holding people accountable. Okay, sir.
We have instituted policies that challenge the authority of Cameroon. We've instituted the boycott of brasseries. And we stated clearly, people may ask, what about just drinking alcohol? These people make over 200 million amber in profit in Ambazonia. Less than 5% of the profit is reinvested in Ambazonia. 99% of the top managers and employees of brasseries are from Cameroon. We calculate the level of accidents because of drunk driving, the number of broken marriages because of diversion of funds by fathers, the number of children who lost their education because funds were diverted from education to drinking. It has an impact on our population. That's one. Number two, we instituted the yellow color taxi because we think also it is a form of undermining. If you go to the Catalan, the taxi color there reflects the Catalonian color. You go to different countries, taxi colors may reflect their country in terms of their nationalism during the time of liberation. We have also instituted the liberation tax, not only to mobilize resources, but to undermine the authority of the enemy to impose taxes on Ambazonians.
And I get your logic, sir. Here's again the problem, and that has featured in a lot of the questions that were sent to me. If people put on the taxi or the license plate that you want, they get attacked by government forces. They put on the one that they have always had on, they get attacked by Ambazonia fighters.
That is not true. That is not true. That is not true.
But taxis are being burnt.
I know, I disabuse you of that premise.
Okay. Taxis are being burnt.
CEMAC number plate is gone. So how many times do you hear people, just let me finish. How many times do you hear people, maybe at its infancy, even La Republique soldiers tell drivers when you cross the Matazin, this is a new zone, remove your stuff. We ban CA number plates. Have you ever heard of CA number plates anymore? So what you are doing is taking the minimal risk associated with actions that undermine the ability of the enemy to perpetuate its impunity in our land.
I get your point.
The norm. You're taking the minimal risk associated with resistance and making it the norm. People lock their shops on Mondays. They've done so for the past 7 years.
Dr. Ayaba Cho, all of us grew back home, and sometimes to buy these taxis, people have to borrow money from the credit union, sometimes Njanges and so on. I'm putting it to you that just recently we saw taxis being burnt. Now, but if you didn't agree with that, the burning of taxis, as you just said, but one would expect you to come out in public and call them out, and there has to be consequence. There have to be consequences for anyone who burns taxis.
Since we started this interview, a taxi will cost maybe 1.5 million amber. You just heard a lunatic came on the air and talked about killing Ambazonian forces. What do you think is the price that you can place on a fallen Ambazonian soldier? What do you think is the price that you can place on Mama Api, Baby Mata, then Gabu 21? What do you think is the price of the thousands of villages that are burnt? That you spend an entire period in an interview, you're talking about some peripheral issues because there are irritations to an occupying power that is vanquished.
But the question goes back to, even if it's peripheral, it affects people. The question I'm going to ask you. The question I'm going to ask you.
Listen. A woman dies every minute giving birth. Every minute in this world. Every minute a woman dies giving birth.
Dr. Cho, you're a very smart guy. The question I'm asking you.
Yeah. Do you want to give away the joy that comes with childbirth simply because a woman dies giving birth every minute?
Dr. Cho,
every struggle for freedom carries with it a price. What we have done, listen, at the beginning of this struggle, is to institute measures to mitigate the effect of La Republique's violence. This is the only struggle that you can study that in 7 years, we just watched a video today. Amazonians in Cameroon are being attacked, their businesses being burnt. You have not gotten a Cameroonian's business burnt in Amazonia. This is the only struggle where the occupier can just run around our cities while our own people are killed and our forces are taking risk to attack military officers in the middle of Boya and our commercial avenue.
Let's take a break.
Let me land. You ask the question and I give the answers.
Okay.
Now, we can spend the next 20 years trying to identify some of the irritations of this resistance and perpetuating the propaganda of the lunatics and the cartel in Yaoundé. Cameroon will be destroyed when we continue on this path. I can assure you 100%. Until we begin to quantify in real terms the cost of the occupation in terms of those Ambazonians who have died in their country, villages burnt, children who have not gone to school, and find a solution that is going to permanently bring positive peace and justice to our people. We can spend the next 100 years talking about Ambazonians have kidnapped here, Ambazonians have burnt taxi here. You are wasting your time. We are just getting started.
But you're not. You're not coming out to condemn that. Why? You just can minimize that.
Listen. If you go in the, let's just take the case of taxi color. I'll be making a speech in the coming days on the question of the protection of civilians in times of war, based on the principle of POC by Kofi Annan and the R2P under his regime. I'll be making a statement on that. Now, when and I give you this as an example.
Okay.
When the handicapped guy, his taxi was burnt.
Okay.
I had a call with him, and I asked him how much was your taxi, and I said this is something I've not said before because of his own security. And I asked him, what is the cost of your taxi? He said it's 1.6. I said, we will transfer that money back to you, but don't go back on the street with your taxi. We made that agreement. The next day, the regime made its propaganda and took him out, and we're doing all the shenanigans that we're doing. I also came out clearly, and I spoke about the fact that our soldiers should not burn taxis. I have said that publicly. Okay. Listen, what you should know about me is this. I am clear about what I do. I am clear about what I do because I measure its impact short-term, medium-term, and long-term, even sometimes against the position of my organization. I do things as a leader inconsistent with policies of the Ambazonian Governing Council. To spend time here mourning about some couple of taxis when you have the impact of the war, the impact of the occupation is unquantifiable. You know,
and I get your point. Yeah. We will be coming back to ask you a few more questions, some more questions. Again, I say you can dial the number 240-603-7367. I told you this was going to be an ebullient show. You see, Dr. Ayaba Cho has his glass of water. I have mine here. It's not hot coffee. It's really hot. And please keep one right where you are. We will be right back. Time for an interlude, a commercial. We will be right back. Prepare your questions. You can text them to me also. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Garrett Delivery Service LLC. Have you been looking for a reliable and affordable moving company? Garrett Delivery Service moves your belongings using extra safety measures. We offer customized solutions to fit all of your delivery requirements, saving you time and money. We are dedicated to providing you with safe and prompt delivery services by partnering with a network of local drivers. Feel free to call us if you need assistance with booking your delivery. Here are some of the proficient services we offer: local moving services, furniture delivery services, medicines delivery services, letters delivery services, documents delivery services, grocery delivery services, food delivery services, flowers and gifts delivery services, junk removal services, home cleanout service. Other attributes to make you hire our fascinating services. Operational since 2019, 24/7 availability, timely delivery, trusted partnership with local movers. We value your time, maximum customer satisfaction, reasonable rates. Get in touch to book your delivery.
And services, they are incredible. Their customer service top notch. They are here in Maryland. You have their number on the screen. And somebody just sent me a text asking what the number is. The phone number is 240-603-7367. 240-603-7367. We will, gosh, I have a lot of questions here. Some sent to me by text. Dr. Ayaba Cho, somebody says, you are an intelligent bull. That must be an ardent supporter of yours. Definitely.
Must he be a supporter?
Listen, I'm not sure anybody in Yaoundé will be telling you.
Why must someone who congratulates me be a supporter?
No, it has to be. I mean, you have people who oppose you. It has to be a supporter to say you're an intelligent guy. Somebody is on the line. Please hold the line. Hello? Hello?
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You are participating live on Voices of Africa on Chat Night. Your question, please keep it short.
My question for Dr. Ayaba is, what are the consequences that the soldiers on the ground are willing to pay, or what are the sacrifices they're willing to make sure that the Ambazonian people have the security that they needed for them to live a peaceful life?
Okay, good. Thank you, sir. Did you get the question, sir? Now, just hold on. There's another caller on the line. Hello? 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 This is Voices of Africa on Chat Night. A call on the line.
Yeah, Pierre.
Hello?
Yes. Hi, good evening.
Good evening. Your question, sir. Keep it short, please.
Well, technically, I don't have a question, but I'm trying to just understand your own mindset here too as well.
Okay.
You're asking some questions like how is, why is he punishing people down on the ground or things of that nature?
Those are the questions I got from Ground Zero. Go on, please.
Well, and then the question that I would have is, if you have let's say a position, and you say this is the position that should be taken, and you've educated the people that they should follow this position, and if they say, oh, we are suffering, how do you then enforce that without some consequences? How do you enforce that without letting them know that there will be consequences if they don't follow that position? Now, the second thing I want to ask is, where were you educated, here in the United States or somewhere else?
You mean me?
Yes.
All of us, me like Dr. Cho, we were educated in Cameroon.
Okay, how long have you lived in this?
He attended the University of Boya. Am I mistaken, sir? I'm asking Dr. Cho.
Yeah.
Okay, so all of us had an education back home before we came here. But what's your question for me?
How long have you lived in the United States?
Close to 30 years.
Okay, how does anyone address you here in the United States? Do they address you as Chamukong or Divine Chamukong?
Just ask me a question, then I'll be able to clarify the point, sir. That way we can open the line for many people.
That's the question that I asked. That's the question I asked, that do they address you as Divine Chamukong or Chamukong Divine?
People call me in different ways. Sometimes Divine Chamukong, sometimes Chamukong Divine. It doesn't really change who I am.
Well, I mean, if you have the English culture, you know that they should call your first name first and not your last name first.
Okay, I apologize for that. So how would you like me to call Dr. Ayaba Cho? Dr. Cho Ayaba, or maybe I'll ask him.
Well, if you have an interview with somebody, shouldn't you ask the person, how do you want me to address you?
Okay, my apologies, sir. Can we go on the next question?
I don't have any other questions. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate you a great deal, sir.
Please, day.
You see what I face here, right?
But you realize that I have a comment. The hate on us is palpable, and the hate on Amazonians can be reflected sometimes in the audios that are circulated by Cameroon forces.
What's the right order of your name?
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
Call me Dr. Cho Ayaba. Dr. Cho
Okay, that's okay.
So
All right, go ahead.
the hit on Ambazonia is palpable. And the fact that the enemy believes that we were not supposed first to contest the occupation, to challenge policies, is reflected in the way they react, even on simple demonstrations. And I think that we must, even as we are having this conversation, Ambazonian struggle is one of the only struggles where Ambazonians themselves who are in the media do not take a firm position. I'm talking about foundational position in opposing the impunity of an occupying power without taking any political position on the objective of those who fight. And I think that is something which is very problematic.
Now, let me ask you this question. The question the guy raised, what are your soldiers doing to protect the population? Because that has been the complaint, that the people are asking themselves, are they fighting the government forces or fighting the population? Because Dr. Ayaba Cho, there are persistent complaints of people pulled out of their houses and executed summarily. Have you heard that? Do you get those pictures?
It's false. It's false. You see, we have to speak based on data. We have to speak based on data. In the past 1 week, and this has not come up yet, and I'm so shocked that Ambazonians who are asking these questions have not asked about the killing of the 3 Ambazonian civilians in Batu. They have not asked about the killing of the Reverend Pastor Mbakwa in Kwen.
My sources said that your fighters killed those people in Batu because they disobeyed their decision.
At night. At night, right? You forget that one of the woman killed is the mother, is the mother of a soldier. This is the propaganda that is being used all the time, and we are helping perpetuate this propaganda.
Does somebody...
Let me finish. You do the questioning, I do the answering.
Okay.
Yes. Now, authoritative sources are important. So if you want to do an interview with me or you want to state the facts, you read my publications and you know that those are authoritative sources. And then we can now talk about my sources if they are objective or subjective. But we cannot be
hold your thought again. I can imagine. Yes, sir. You are live on Chat Night Africa. Okay, the call went off. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah, we cannot. I'll give you an example. There is a guy called I think Dr. Julius Fondo.
That's right. I was going to ask you a question about that.
We had an exchange because of a write-up that he made.
Yes, go ahead. Please, can you hold on because certain points have to be clarified here by Dr. Ayaba Cho. Or you call back, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Can I go ahead then?
Yeah, please call back if you don't mind so that he needs to answer a question. Calls are coming from all over the place. Yeah.
Ambazonia must be free by fire, by force.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not hanging up on you. I just want that people should give you space to answer.
There's something. Ambazonia must be represented in its proper frame. We cannot continuously perpetuate the propaganda of a vanquished enemy. We're doing disservice to those who have died, those in jail.
So what's your response to the write-up that Mr. Julius Fondong wrote?
I made a firm response, and I am happy, and this is very important also.
Right.
I'm happy to tell Ambazonians that I had a conversation with him, a fine, gentlemanly conversation. And I also received a message that he was being threatened. And I tell Ambazonians not to threaten him. Yes, there is a difference in opinion and approach, but you can believe that during our conversation, he was sincere, and no one should threaten him or anyone else. There are people that have their opinions. We respect those opinions. There are people who enable through their actions to propagate the narrative of the enemy, and we will not welcome those kind of persons within our homeland.
Thank you for that clarification. I have a call on the line. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, this Samuel I speaking. The chef was not able to South Africa.
Oh my
Thank you for
God.
picking on my call, sir.
Thank you, sir. Unfortunately, I mean, sometimes you have to just do what you have to be able to keep your questions short, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir. My simple question is, are you a Southern Cameroon or an Amazonian?
I was born in Bali.
You were born in Bali, Nyonga?
Yes, I'm a Bali man.
I get it from you. I'm also from Bali.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, please, I have so many people on the line.
Do you know that? Let me quickly go. Let me go.
Yes, sir.
Do you know that Ambazonia and La Republic have international boundary put by United Nations? Are you aware of that?
I have read that so many places. But what's your question for Dr. Cho?
Listen, you read? No, I'm asking you. My question is to you, sir. As an ambassador, you read that or you have seen it?
I read it.
You haven't seen any pillar of, or you have not. You read, but you never seen any of the pillar.
My goodness, can you help me now here? So thank you, sir. Honestly,
that's my question.
Yes, sir.
Finish. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll answer. Let me take another caller. Hello. Hello.
Amazonians, chill. We have defeated all enemies, small and big.
Oh. Okay. So the question becomes now: do you like an independent press? Are you tolerant of an independent press, Dr. Cho?
Of course.
Will somebody challenge your ideas without fear of reprisals on the ground?
Now, we don't need to go too far.
Okay.
You are a journalist, right?
Yes, sir.
Have I come across any time, privately, publicly, as threatening to you, despite all the forms of questions you
Definitely not. Definitely
Yes.
not. Let's take this call. I think it's a lady on the line. Hello. Good afternoon.
Yeah, hello. Good afternoon, sir.
You are live on Chat Night Africa. It's getting really hot here.
Yeah, that I can say. I can see that in the comment section myself.
Absolutely. What's your
please,
question?
I have
Keep it short. Kindly keep it short.
For you.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. I've noticed that you've interviewed Dr. Ayaba a couple of times, and I find it interesting that you always have an interest in interviewing him. But I want to ask you,
yes, please,
because I followed all your interviews.
I appreciate that.
How much do you know about what Dr. Ayaba does? Have you read his strategies? Have you read his policies? Have you read any of the things that he puts out there? Because I see all your questions, you're basing your question not on the work that he has done, but on what people tell you or what you pick on the social media about the interests of others. You have not fully spoken to us about what Ayaba has achieved so far in the revolution. You're more quick into picking up blames, questions here and there, putting them out there. I don't know if this is just to put audience to you or to please the people of La Republic, but I want to know how much do you know about the strategies of Dr. Ayaba and what they have accomplished or what Ambazonia has put in place for the last 8 years of this revolution. Thank you. I would like to hear your answer.
Absolutely. I'm going to do that right away. First thing is that Dr. Ayaba Cho is a prolific writer. He puts a lot of information online. If I tell you that I read everything he writes, that would be a lie. That's the first thing. Now, I believe that if you're going to interview somebody who aspires to lead or who is a leader in the eyes of many people, then you are going to have to talk to the people who are impacted by his decisions, his actions, and inaction. That's the way we see our independence of journalism. Most of the questions, if not all, I have a pile of questions I've not even gone through, and I'm not sure I'll be able to go through, even if we stayed here for 3 hours, are from ground zero. In other words, people who are living daily, experiencing what they claim to be the actions of the ADF fighters. So I am bringing the questions to Dr. Ayaba Cho to respond. I hope I responded to your queries.
Let me comment on that question raised.
Yes.
This is the point. This is the point being made. We are facing there is an 8-year war that has ravaged Amazonia. And sometimes Amazonians and the general public want to see us have substantive discussions about both the foundation of the crisis, the different efforts that have been undertaken by the international community to resolve it, and looking also into the different strategies, their merit and their shortcomings. And when you see people call and start asking a journalist a question, they feel like the interview is based on social media antics, which do not reflect any reality.
But the reality is that people are kidnapped. In fact, I have almost all of the questions have to do with kidnappings, and the people who send me the questions are attributing the kidnappings to your soldiers, not divine. So I can only bring, unless they're saying I should not ask you the question, I have to give you this credit. You told me that no question should be off the table.
Yes.
That's why I have a pile of papers with questions.
You have a responsibility when you set an interview to understand why you want that interview.
Correct.
And it's important that, but let's go ahead.
Thank you for your understanding. So the question that I have, another question from Ground Zero is, do people have the room to disagree with you without facing deadly reprisals from your fighters or without being called blacklegs?
Well, Ambazonians have disagreed on so many things. We have seen within Ambazonia disagreements on policies. One caller asked the question: if we institute a policy, that becomes a policy, and you cannot simply, in the implementation phase, disrespect the implementation because you disagree with the policy. So people can disagree even with our outcome of independence, but if you cross the red line to becoming an enabler of the occupation, that's a totally different proposition. And I have said repeatedly, Petain, Quisling, and all the traitors who betrayed the Europeans during Hitler's Blitz War, none of them was made. Amazonia is not going to be different.
Please hold the line. I have, I have a lot of questions coming. Hello, somebody calling from Texas.
Yes. Hi, this is Dr. Chefru.
Dr. Chefru, good to hear from you, sir. Please kindly keep your questions short.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
The question I have for Dr. Cho is, tomorrow, Ambazonia is free. How do you ensure that La Republique pays for all its atrocities over these years? Thank you.
Did you get the question?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, my brother. Thanks for that question. There are different measures we are going to put in place. One, and I'll start with one which is very interesting. All those La Republique has put in jail, whose liberty La Republique has deprived for all of these years, there will be individual accountability, either within the jurisdiction of Ambazonia or international jurisdiction like Human Rights Committee and other international jurisdiction that we can take those cases there. Second point is territorial. The border, the international border of Ambazonia shall remain where it is based on the conduct of La Republique du Cameroon. I have said repeatedly, given the chance, we must ensure that part of the territory of Cameroon is taken to ensure not only accountability, but reparation for 63 years of anarchy.
I know. Yeah, sorry, I'm not interrupting you. Please keep it short. That way I can take another question.
Yeah, just leave those calling. Let us have a conversation on the questions that have been asked.
Okay.
If you want to get everybody to call, and then we'll spend the rest of our time here. Cameroon has used the territory and our assets and resources.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cameroon has used the Amazonian territory and our resources as collateral to taking credits that we might be liable for. And so to ensure that we are able to pay credits that were never used for development, we have to work out a mechanism to secure part of the territory of Cameroon until they pay a reparation. Third, we think we are going to institute a regime that is going to hold individual Cameroonian, individual Ambazonians who have looted assets to make sure those assets are repatriated into Ambazonia for the development of our country.
Your point taken, sir. I know you can go on and on and on with this. Unfortunately, since we don't have all the time, I know you have a lot of ideas on this. To implement all of this would mean that you have beaten Biya's government forces on the battlefield. Are you going to do that? And if you don't, what's your plan B? And if Paul Biya came here, I'll ask you the same question.
There is only plan A.
Okay.
No. There's only plan A. So when you're talking about plan B, I don't understand what you're talking about. The Ambazonia will prevail over Cameroon through outright military victory. Now, There is a caveat. One moment. There's a caveat. Sometimes when you hear about negotiated settlement, it is not because there has been no military defeat. It is because the enemy has realized that it has to save face by negotiating its exit. Case of Rwanda is in time. Case of Eritrea is also something we must take into consideration. There is one strategy to make sure we build Ambazonian capacity for military victory over Cameroon and to ensure that post-independent Ambazonia its territorial integrity is protected.
Good. If I get you, your answer is military victory or nothing. Joshua Chimba, there are thieves on the ground, on ground zero before before this revolution. Why is it that all the bad things are referred to Ayaba Group? Now, let your supporters know I am not asking the question.
No. Don't attribute it. Don't attribute a factual question to my supporters.
Beautiful.
I don't have supporters. I don't have supporters.
So why are people attributing kidnapping for ransom, summary killings, and so on?
Of course.
Why?
What do you expect? In the past 7 years, there has been a sustained attempt to undermine my leadership from the inside and from the outside. There has been when attempt to destroy the Ambazonian Defense Forces and my leadership failed, the next step was blackmail. Do you believe that I went to London to sell some oil?
I love that.
Yeah. So there has been a sustained attempt by Cameroon to undermine my reputation because it is Cameroon's last measure to undermine the leadership that is firm to ensure its existence within our territory comes to an end.
Another question I'm getting from by text, apparently from Boya. Dr. Cho, are you claiming that your fighters are saints? If not, what would they have done that embarrass you?
None of us is a saint. We are all sinners, whether you're a fighter or you're not a fighter. Nobody is a saint. And I have said here on this platform, I have talked about taxes that were burned, and I have spoken about what I said, the measures I have put in place to make sure that there is no continuity. I've talked about people who have been wrongly harassed and measures that we have put in place. What people must understand is that the Ambazonian War of Liberation is the least violent in terms of our soldiers compared to any other war that we can study in recent times. And in comparison with the actions of La République du Cameroon, we should not be having this conversation.
You are watching Voices of Africa. We will take another little break so that Dr. Ayaba Cho can take a glass of water. Sorry, probably will extend the program for another 30 minutes. We are broadcasting this on the internet, www.chatnightafrica.net. We're also on Facebook in 2 places. We're also on YouTube. Search Chat Night Africa, please. Those of you watching on YouTube, kindly do us this favor. Click the notification bell. And it looks like there's somebody on the line. Let me bring up Dr. Ayaba Cho to answer this. Please shut down any listening device you have there. Shut it down. Your question. Your question,
Yeah,
please.
hello?
Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you for picking my call, sir. I'm an Amazonian and an enthusiastic Amazonian for that. And you asked Doctor a question, how the Amazonian Defense Forces can appropriately defend or protect our people. And what I would wish to say with regards, he answered the question, but I want to add something to that.
Okay.
We are calling on all Amazonians all around the globe, both home and on the and both home and in the diaspora, you inclusive, to pay your liberation tax so that our forces will be well armed to the teeth in such a way that they can defend the men and women, our mothers and our brothers who are civilians at any given time. If they have the material, they will do that in a way that you will be marveled. So I'm beckoning on you to use your channel to tell our people to pay their liberation tax. The liberation tax is not a new thing. In all movements that fought for independence, the people participated in their liberation so that they will own their outcome. Amazonians should pay their liberation tax so that our forces who are bearing the brunt will defend them and protect them.
Okay.
In an appropriate manner.
Thank you, sir. You are appointed. You're calling from where?
I'm calling from Ground Zero, from Boya.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for following our shows. Yes, Dr. Ayaba Cho, and let me ask you, there's a question here about the liberation tax that you instituted. Some people think that I'm getting questions from all over the place. Some people think, please hold your call. Some people think that it is a license for your fighters to go around harassing people. What's your response?
No. Liberation tax is, as I have said, replaces different measures of support schemes that our people have used to support our liberation. We came to the conclusion that if we do not bring together those different measures, you're driving in a car and you pass through the checkpoint of our forces, you give support. You move to the next checkpoint, you give support. You lose a relative, people come in there and ask for support. They come to your house and ask for support.
Please hold the line. I have Barrage, of course. Hello?
Hello, Divine Chamukong.
Yes, sir. This is the man you hear of.
How are you doing? It's a long time I heard this voice again.
I'm carrying the kind of show that no station would carry. No, CRTV cannot carry this. Equinox cannot carry this.
I remember. Yeah, this is Sheikh Kabiwa Milim calling from Belgium.
Oh, beautiful. What's your question, sir?
Yes, I just want to ask Dr. Cho Ayaba. That is somebody that I can take a bullet for.
Okay.
That is the pathfinder for Amazonia. He's the Messiah. He's everything. If you say people go to worship pastors and whatsoever in the churches, I worship Dr. Cho Ayaba in this revolution.
Wow.
But I have one question for him.
Yes, sir.
What is he doing to address this Mbororo crisis? Because we have seen that La République du Cameroon is using Mbororo communities. I know they are part of us to destabilize whatever he's trying to build on the ground. So what is the strategy that he is using to address this crisis? I yield.
All right, thank you. There is another call on line, but sorry, we'll have to take. We have to take.
Just
this
take the call. You can take about 2 to 3 calls on our.
All right, I'm going to do that. But before you answer the call, he tells you that he worships. There is a real danger in having people surrounding you and telling you how great you are, how great you are. Are you worried at times that there's so much adulation, this lionization of Ayaba Cho could get into your head, sir?
Let me conclude the question on the liberation tax, and then I'll come to the,
yes, please. The call on the line. Hold it.
Take the call, and then I'll.
Hello.
Hello?
Yes, please be brief so that he can answer all these questions at the same time. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much. One thing that I would love to add into that interview, because I've been watching you guys since the interview started.
Thank you.
To make something clear, is that one thing I would like the entire world to understand is that the Cameroon government is working under the influence of the American government and the French government. So that's one thing. That's one thing. And second thing, the influence of America is what pushing Cameroon actually to go to Ambazonia to commit any act of criminal in Ambazonian people. That's one thing. And the reason why I'm saying is because if you look at Ambazonia and Cameroon, Ambazonian people didn't have an influence of France or America. And the only reason why most of the Camerooners do not want to stand with the Ambazonians is because the Cameroon government is a puppet of the American government. So I'm not an African, I'm not Ambazonian, I'm not Cameroonian, but I've been looking to the history of Cameroon and Ambazonia. And what I've realized is that the Cameroon government is working side by side under the influence of the American government to oppress the Ambazonian people.
All right, point taken. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry, I
just please give me the time.
I'm going to pause. I'm going to pause the calls. I'm not going to take any call right now.
I see you are sweating. What the hell is going on?
I'm telling you, I have a lot of lights inside here.
You have a lot of heat coming on. Okay.
I have a lot of lights.
Let me please just be patient. I'll just take 1.5 minutes.
Please do.
Let me comment on the issue of protection of our people. We do everything to protect our people, and as the caller said,
that's a big concern here.
Yeah. Pardon?
That's a big concern here that your fighters are torturing, not protecting the people.
Let me. The foundation of our struggle is based on the protection of our people, but I would like our people to also understand that they should not embrace the propaganda that the enemy is perpetrating all the time. We take steps, some that are not known, some that are known, to make sure that those who are unduly harassed, there are some actions taken. Amazonians must also understand that it's well documented that Tanganji has created a lot of militias that are going around and harassing people. We are aware they've created militias that are going around using liberation tax as a means of attacking the integrity of our people. The last point is this: no state, even those that are free, can genuinely provide absolute security for their people. The laws of the land, customs, and norms that are inculcated in the minds of a people through due process is the safest way to protect our population. And the future of Amazonia is anchored on those values of tolerance, compromise, and the protection of human life and human dignity.
We would like to take all the calls, but unfortunately, we have to give you space to respond. Yes.
On the Mbororos that another caller asked, the Mbororos are part of the Amazonian community. Like every community, they have been infiltrated. It's not only the Mbororos that have been infiltrated. You have communities within my own village, Mankon, through the cartel boss, the Angwafo. They've infiltrated the community through Angwafo. They've infiltrated the Mbororo community through a handful of individuals who have been paid and given monies to act as spies and to attack our forces.
If any of the fighters is troubling or torturing one of the people in town, who do they contact?
I think you deliberately you misuse the word torture.
Okay, what is it?
Yeah, you misuse the word torture. People may be harassed.
Okay, harassed. Who do they talk to?
People may be harassed. Our spokesman, each time he goes out, he places a number.
Please, caller, hold it until Dr. Ayaba Cho answers this question.
Yes, our spokesman goes out. Each time he places a number. Individuals, Ambazonians who are out here in the diaspora, have called the Ambazonian Governing Council through that number to talk about incidences on the ground, which we have intervened, even when the forces are not under my direct command and control. Everywhere an Ambazonian is harassed, we make sure we intervene. We do not only intervene for Ambazonians, we provide access to international humanitarian organizations to make sure they can assess people and provide support. We are a force for good, despite the overwhelming force being used against us and our communities. We have exercised restraint in a very meaningful way. The other point is you talk about the lionization.
Correct. Because I think, yeah, it's a real trap there, and I'm not questioning.
It's not a trap. It's not a trap.
Here's why it is. I'm not questioning your, people who adore you, who admire you. I'm not questioning that. But the problem when it comes to leadership, is if you get so much of this around you, there's a real risk that you feel that you are almighty, you are all powerful, omnipresent.
No, it's just because you don't know.
How do you prevent that?
You don't know the Ambazonian Governing Council. I was having a conversation with my peers today. I am one of the most criticized leader. I am one of the most criticized leader. Even as I'm sitting on your platform, I am attacked on your platform. You have not heard me respond with anger, with any acrimony. You've not heard me undermine anybody. We have put in place a system of laws and rules and customs within the Ambazonian Governing Council and within the framework of the Ambazonian liberation struggle through our vision that cannot make an individual a king or irreplaceable. The notion that because you fight for independence or because your actions are applauded will give you some overarching authority in Ambazonia is a fallacy.
Yeah, wrap up on that. That way I can take the next question.
Let me close on that.
Okay. You have consistently raised the question of genocide. This is what a prominent lawyer, Daniel Beach, told me here. Please hold the call on the line. Please hold it until I ask this question and get a response. Daniel Beach told me we were doing a show on immigration, and she told me that a lot of African lawyers lose their cases in court here because they plead for their clients on grounds of genocide. The judge then asks you, but are there other English-speaking Cameroonians in French-speaking areas? The answer becomes yes. What's your response? How would you defend that there's genocide in English-speaking Cameroon based on the lawyer's arguments?
I'm a bit confused.
Okay, let me put it again. Wait. Daniel Beach told me on my show here, the video is there on YouTube for everybody to go and watch, that a lot of Cameroonian lawyers lose their cases in court when they use genocide in southern Cameroon as the reason why people are seeking asylum. The judge asks you, if you say there's genocide, how do you explain the fact that Anglophone Cameroonians are living in French-speaking areas and not being killed? How do you defend that?
Now you've raised two things.
That's right. That's the question from the lawyer, not me.
Yeah. I'm very sorry for that lawyer. I'm very sorry for that.
Please,
lawyer.
Caller, hold it. Let Dr. Ayaba Cho answer this question.
I'm sorry for that lawyer. There are two things you've raised. The claim for asylum.
Correct.
And the question of genocide. The claim for asylum is based on the 1951 Geneva Convention that can be translated in any domestic law.
Please, caller, hold it. I will take your call.
It is based on reasonable fear of a return, or it is also based on the fact that you've been subjected to actions inconsistent with the protection of human dignity for your opinion, for your beliefs, for your membership in a particular group. So generally, people may make an argument that is foundational. It is not the specific rationale for claim for asylum. The specific rationale for the claim of asylum can be subjective with a presentation of a general situation that cannot lead to the rejection of a case simply because you inject the claim for genocide. So
please, caller, hold it until Dr. Ayaba Cho answers this question.
No judge, no case officer will reject an asylum claim on the basis that there is a claim of genocide, and the overarching position of that case officer or the judge is based on the fact that because Ambazonians are in Cameroon, therefore there can be no genocide. And I answered Dr. Julius on this. That is a fantasy. That is not true. That's number one. On the case of genocide, we have been very clear that the actions of Cameroon in Ambazonia constitute genocide. I have cited different cases let me just give the case that came up in the ICJ case between Israel and South Africa, imposing conditions on a people that may prevent their development or that may prevent the protection of their lives. Just imagine the amount of villages that Cameroon has burnt. Just imagine the amount of houses that Cameroon has burnt. Imagine that a colonial SDO evacuated 16 villages in Manu and then went in to burn those villages. That is an aspect that, if there is a contrary position, can be investigated by the prosecutor of the ICC or any other committee that can be set up by the United Nations.
I'm not interrupting you. Yeah, press secretary feels interrupting, but we have to wrap up at some point, unfortunately, Madam Press Secretary. Here is a question. Let me take this call on the line. Please be quick because we have to wrap up this in 15 minutes. Hello?
I will make it quick. My question is about Biafra. Dr. Cho, we have seen a couple of activities in the Biafra area, in the Bakassi area, where the Biafra forces have killed some Cameroon forces, and some have even exited some areas. A couple of months ago, you signed an alliance with the Biafra, and these activities are happening. Is this something we should expect more going forward, and how is that alliance going on?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, their alliance is a game changer.
I would like to say that we will not take any more calls now to allow Dr. Ayaba Cho to respond. Yeah. Sorry, we're going to have to not take any calls. I apologize for this. Otherwise, we'll be here for 5 hours and still not wrap up. I do understand. So please do not call because we will not take any more calls. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
The alliance with Biafra is a game changer. At the beginning of our struggle in this phase, Nigeria spent its time collaborating with Cameroon to kidnap Ambazonians and to subject them to all forms of torture, including rendition. We have given them Biafra to deal with. Biafrans have grown stronger, and I think they are taking international actions, including recruiting international lobbies to advocate for their case. We can see that Biafran actions within the Bakassi Peninsula has caused the withdrawal of the marine units of La Republique du Cameroon. And I think that in the coming months, we will be seeing new developments in terms of the alliance.
Let me ask you this question just sent to me by text. Dr. Ayaba Cho, you are saying that people will have to pay some price for their freedom. Your children are in Norway. Why other children are not yours? Question from somebody from that Ground Zero. Sent it by text.
Yes, I had an interview with Norwegian television last week, and this same question came up. He asked me, "Don't you think you are a coward sitting here in Norway and people are fighting on Ground Zero?" And I asked him if the King of Norway was a coward in 1940 when Hitler invaded Norway and he escaped to London. This is a fact. I agree that I have my kids out here. They are not under the same condition as our millions of our children on Ground Zero. I also have the opportunity to just forget about everybody on Ground Zero and be a real coward. Or I take a stand to ensure that, those who did not have the chance to escape, as a few of us, can have a brighter future. I understand that the actions we are taking has an impact on our children, on our communities. We are doing so for the interest of our people, and our people must just exercise patience. I have 99% of my family is on ground zero. I have lost family members because of the struggle. So there is a price that I have paid as an individual. I don't think I've seen my family for the past 24 years. My children have never seen their grandparents for the past 15 to 20 years. I may not compare that price I pay with the price that our children are paying, but we all pay a certain level of a price for our freedom. And I just ask our people to be patient.
And you are watching Voices of Africa. We'll have a little break and then come back and close in about 10 minutes. Stay tuned. It's really, really, really hot here. I told you now, we try to be as independent as possible. We're making arrangements with the government in Yaoundé to have a big shot there come here and take equally very sorted questions. So it's nothing against Dr. Ayaba Cho. First of all, he told me, Divine, go ahead, ask whatever questions you want. I have no problem with that. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have this interlude of music and I'll be right back.
Africa, just night 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 Africa. Top night Africa. Africa is a beautiful place.
Absolutely, Africa is a beautiful place. Chat Night Africa, and we have one quick 30-second stuff before Dr. Ayaba Cho comes back on the platform.
Welcome to Garrett Delivery Service LLC. Have you been looking for a reliable and affordable moving company? Garrett Delivery Service moves your belongings using extra safety measures. We offer customized solutions to fit all of your delivery requirements, saving you time and money. We are dedicated to providing you with safe and prompt delivery services by partnering with a network of local drivers. Feel free to call us if you need assistance with booking your delivery. Here are some of the proficient services we offer: local moving services, furniture delivery services, medicines delivery services, letters delivery services, documents delivery services, grocery delivery services, food delivery services, flowers and gifts delivery services, junk removal services, home cleanout service. Other attributes to make you hire our fascinating services. Operational since 2019, 24/7 availability, timely delivery, trusted partnership with local movers. We value your time, maximum customer satisfaction, reasonable rates. Get in touch to book your delivery.
Okay, you can get in touch and book your deliveries. Ladies and gentlemen, once more, Dr. Ayaba Cho on the platform. Now, I said I wasn't going to take another call, but let me just take this one. Hello? Hello? Yes, please keep your questions short to the point.
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
Yes. Okay. My question is.
Oh, sorry. Hold the line. Yes. Your question, please.
Yes. My question is, the ADF has been severally accused of kidnapping for ransom. And I want to ask Dr. Ayaba, does he support the kidnapping for ransom on ground zero? And lastly, can he point to a specific example where he has condemned the kidnapping of anyone for ransom on ground zero?
Okay. Thank you. I'm grateful you kept it short and to the point. All right. So now I'm not going to take any other questions. I'm sorry. We have to wrap this up. Yes, you see, but Dr. Ayaba Cho, if people keep talking about this kidnapping for ransom, it's a problem.
Of course, it's a problem, but
so you have to address it.
Yeah, I have, and I have said that I've condemned any kidnapping for ransom, but I have also made it absolutely clear that we have taken measures. I appointed a czar against kidnapping. You people don't have a long memory. There was a czar against kidnapping, and we provided telephone lines to our people that if you find any situation of kidnapping for ransom, report that immediately.
Are you going to read that number right here, sir? If not, I'll give you time so that you can look for it and read it,
Yes,
because it's a problem.
My compatriots can send the number over to you. You can paste it on there. That's number one.
Okay, they can the number 40603737. Please text
number two. What I'm not going to fall into is the propaganda that is being perpetuated by the regime in order to undermine the integrity of the Amazonian struggle. No, the amount of Amazonians who have been kidnapped and detained in Yaoundé are thousands. The amount of Amazonians who are on a daily basis kidnapped and they are extorted is being done by Cameroon forces and its militias that have been documented by international human rights organizations. Within the context of our struggle, we have taken measures to make sure that people who are kidnapped, if they are done so by our forces, we take action. The majority of cases described as kidnap are cases of arrest. People have been arrested, interrogated, and immediately people go out and talk about kidnapping for ransom.
Maybe because you're not clarifying the difference between the two.
We have done so. It's just that you people don't take note.
Okay, I'm asking your press secretary to text me the number which somebody should call to report a case of kidnapping for ransom.
Any case in Amazonia. For example, there are cases of harassment where you want to undertake your activities and you find that you are being harassed. You find that 60% of the cases of harassment are done by militias. Those who have gone and are attacking people paying liberation taxes are done by militias of Cameroon, not Amazonian forces.
All right. So I'm asking, as soon as your press secretary, Madam Press Secretary, text me the number. I kept saying I will not take a call until let me just take this last one. The person says, I really want to call. Divine. So please be as short as you possibly can be. Hello.
Hello. Thanks very much for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
There are just three things that I want to just add on to this discussion. It's a very, very fruitful discussion.
I appreciate it, sir.
Yes. One, we have to understand that the ADF force has been the only force on the ground that has created an anti-kidnapping unit. We can attest to that. We have all the evidence. Secondly, when we talk about liberation tax, I think if you look at it very well across the board, this has been one of the, and this period that we experience now is one of the periods where we have had the least talk on kidnapping, because people are chipping in there a little bit to be able to handle the liberation. Which liberation struggle have we seen on earth that doesn't involve money? Americans is spending trillions of dollars in the fighting in Ukraine. How many trillions of dollars have been spent in? We talk about wanting to be free. Freedom is not cheap. And this is the most easiest and the simplest way that all of us can together as a people free ourselves, chipping in a little bit. And we are seeing the changes on the ground. The forces are arming themselves. We need that resources to collectively liberate ourselves. Last but not the least, the argument on genocide. Look at the Palestinian case. There are Palestinians that are in Israel, but they have built a good case that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. So we can't go on the argument that because our people are in land polluted Cameroon, they are not perpetrating genocide in our territory. We have all the evidence that constitutes genocide happening in Amazonia. Thanks very much, sir. And I like your program. Bring these particular discussions often.
There will be somebody coming from the government of Cameroon to take my questions here, and it's not going to be fun for them.
Okay, thanks very much, sir.
You're welcome. So, well, that was the comment. So the last question I'm going to have for you has to do with the schools that you say can operate in the area in west of the Mongo. What schools are excluded?
Any so-called government schools.
You understand why parents send children to government schools?
No, I don't.
Well, they send children to government schools because it wasn't expensive. They didn't have to pay fee per se, as opposed to sending to private schools where it'd be expensive.
Yeah, people send.
What are poor parents going to do? People who cannot afford private schools, and then you will not allow government schools to operate. What should they do? Where are they?
Send them to community schools.
It's not free.
It's not as expensive as private schools.
Okay,
all the arguments you.
But what's so unique about people, Dr. Cho? Hold on.
Yeah.
People send their children to government schools not just to go stand under the flag and sing the national anthem. The truth is, it was affordable. You can't deny that.
Let me ask you a question. Will you?
Yes, sir.
You married?
Yes, I am.
Will you have your wife spend the night in the home of your ex, of her ex?
I knew you were going to this. You're a smart guy. Anyway, so
it's bothering you already.
Well,
see.
Okay.
Independence means independence. These butchers must leave. And there is no negotiation on that.
But if you involve the international community to negotiate something, it means you have to give up something.
No, we are giving.
You know this.
Now, listen. They've occupied the land for 63 years. We've given our lives, our system of education, our economic system, our political infrastructure. What else do you want us to give?
If Mr. Biya said today, okay, I'm going to have my soldiers pull out, no hostility, what would be your response?
Pull out from where? From the streets?
Well, pull out, go back to barracks. How would you respond?
No, pull out from the territory of Amazonia.
All right. I guess when I bring their representative here, they will answer that question.
They have no reason to be in our land. They are alien regime, illegal occupiers, and butchers of our people. We need to be free.
Dr. Ayaba Cho, we've been here for 2 hours. I know we would go on for 5 hours. You're a great speaker, very articulate speakers. One can disagree with you, but not the fact that you are very, very articulate in what you believe in. Thank you, first of all, for according this interview. You came here knowing that this is an independent platform in the sense that it's not AMBA, it's not BIA platform like CLTV, it's not some corporate sponsor. The friends who support with money here are people who believe that we should get all perspectives to a conflict or to a subject. So I really appreciate you are graciously accepting this invitation, sir.
Thank you very much.
Did you have a problem with my questions?
It is not really for me to comment. I think I need to be gracious. It's your platform, and so you have your principles and
thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate the fact that you have.
And I like to tell all the people who admire you, and you have a lot of admirers as you have a lot of people who are not so thrilled about you, that you told me, Divine, no questions off the table.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
I appreciated that. You said you'll take any calls, even insults. I said, no way, I'm not going to allow anybody to insult you on my platform. Chat Night Africa is not going to be a corridor of invectives. No, even though you accepted, you said no problem. So I thank you, sir.
God bless you.
Thank you. And that's how we close it up here with Dr. Ayaba Cho. I appreciate all of you. Please, if you're on YouTube, support us, hit the notification bell, hit the subscription button. That's one way you can support us. You can also watch this program, by the way, in high definition on www.chatnightafrica.net. If you find anybody anywhere on the planet who is an exceptional child doing exceptional things, we have created a new program called Next Generation Today. Let us know. We want to promote things like that. But I can tell you something, we will keep this platform independent. You want to support us with some money, that is fine, as long as you're not going to dictate who should come here and or who should not be here. We will not take that as well. I appreciate you. I appreciate my my producer in Lagos, Roger in Lagos is producing this, making sure that this broadcast is on all the platforms. I appreciate that. Thank you all who've been there watching and commenting. Even if you don't agree with Dr. Ayaba Cho, we brought him here because his actions impact real people. We don't, let me say it again, we don't bring guests here based on whether we like them or dislike them. That's not independent journalism, which we fiercely defend here. Merci à tout le monde. Thank you, everybody. This is how we wrap up and saying goodbye.
I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I'm coming to get down. I'm coming to dance. We're gonna dance. We're gonna dance. We're gonna get down. We're gonna get down. We're gonna party hardy. We're gonna boogie woogie. And when we jam, it's out of sight. This song right here, it's dynamite. I'm ready.